Hi, this is Janie Imani and welcome to Emotional Awareness. So in today's episode, we'll be talking about the ego. And when I say ego, I don't necessarily mean in the Freudian or clinical sense, but more importantly, the ego that affects every one of us on a daily basis. So what is the definition of the ego? The ego is the unhealthy pursuit of trying to prove your own importance. So, a lot of times we think the problem is that most people think that they're too important, but really it's more likely that we believe we're not important enough, and so we keep trying to prove that we are. So I'll give you an example. We're at a gathering or a party or something like that, and you meet somebody new who's talking about, what kind of job they do and how great it is. And that's starting to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so now, instead of listening to what they're saying, you're concentrating on what you should say next so that they could also see how important your work is, or how special you are, or something like that. And so our need to prove ourselves to other people does get in the way of our relationships all the time. So this is the question, right? So the question becomes, how do we go from constantly hustling for our worth to putting our energy into building good relationships? So let's look at some of the ways we can do that. So number one would be fishbowling. So that's observing yourself or watching yourself like the way you would watch a goldfish in its tank. So the next time you see, yourself trying to impress somebody, just sort of call it out in your own mind. So you would be like, hustling for my worth, hustling for my worth, hustling for my worth. And what that does is really create, I know it sounds really silly, but it really helps because it creates some distance between action and reaction. When you sort of recognize your emotion and your feeling, it stops you from reacting to the situation. And I remember when I first started doing that, even though I saw myself making these mistakes, I really couldn't help myself or stop myself from doing it. And that's often because it's become a habit for us. It's really become a habit for us to try and impress people. And so, and habits are obviously really hard to change. But there does come a time, if you keep observing yourself, that you just get tired of your own BS, and that's when change begins to happen. So tip number two is we are all struggling. So remembering that everybody that we're speaking to is also struggling for their worth. So just how you're worried about impressing them, they're probably trying to impress you too. And so instead of you playing the same game, you want to be the one that provides an environment for them where they don't feel like they have to impress you. And so that sort of that's the beginning of a real connection. And so you want to put your energy into sort of making it about them and making them feel comfortable, opposed to making it about you. So number three would be having a spiritual practice. So we know from Brené Brown's research, which is based on qualitative data, that most people that live a wholehearted life or have risen from a difficult time all relied on a spiritual practice. So that could either be praying 5 times a day, or a spiritual book, or even go for a walk, or yoga, meditation. It could be a number of many things. And so your spiritual or your religious practice can give you one of two things. Number one, it can give you perspective, because a lot of times when we're stuck in our own mind, we kind of have tunnel vision. And so what a prayer or a walk in the park, what it does is give you a bird's eye view again of what your life is about, which helps you connect more to your values. And so the second thing that it does is that it helps you get your worth from something that much greater than you or the people around you. Dale Carnegie says that our desire to feel important is what distinguishes humankind from animals, and that's what dictates all of our actions, right? So what kind of job you get, what kind of house you buy, what kind of clothes you wear, and etc. And so most of us walk around asking, am I worthy, or what will make me worthy? And so we spend our life trying to answer that question. But our worthiness is not a question that can be answered by our surroundings. It really has to be answered by something much greater than us.